Hello folks, this is Craig Lane with Health Alchemy and another one of our herbal tidbit videos we're getting back to more of now because it's the end of the year and the plants are screaming at me. You know, it's pretty tough being a plant whisperer sometimes because talk about OCD. So this is hops today, and this is Craig Lane with Health Alchemy. We have a practice, we're not a business, we're not in commerce. So USA Incorporated is not part of what we do. Health is not part of commerce, and we're all gonna start standing up for that. And this is part of health, is this plant hops. Excellent multitasker. And this is a little female flower here. So, and you'll see these little orange, just a cool little yellow thing in there. So it's very nicely smelling. And as you well know, here's one that's dry. We've done the main harvest on this plant. I wish I could have shown you. And then you can see a few in there hanging out right there on the inside. See, right? There, you can see them right there. So this plant grew all the way up. See up there? If you take a further view, see it. We were looking over here, and it grew from the ground here at least 12 feet into the air. Up there, it climbed up. It's a climber. Humulus is its Latin name, and hops. The humulus part is quite interesting because humulus is a derivative of wolf, and it twines tightly around other plants, and you can see that, how tightly it went through this catnip plant here. See, there's catnip underneath there, and it just, this poor catnip plant, see, got swallowed up right here. And then it swallowed up my slider door here, see? This was a trellis I made here, and the hops went crazy. You can see there's a spider web there, right above that. He's really happy. So hops is one of those plants that you don't really understand. You know, why do people like beer? And see, there's some more of the flowers way up there in the sun. It's wonderful. Still kind of in the sun. See, there they are. Very lovely plant. So now that you've seen some good views of it, it operates by a root stock in the ground. So there's root stock down there. And my friend Brian, literally, I had this plant 2 years ago because he literally just ripped it out of the ground, one of the root stalks. And I'm so grateful he did that because I didn't think it was going to make it. And not only did it not make it, but there's a couple, there's another one on the other side of the property over there, on the other side of that pole. There's another plant, another hops plant that volunteered. So while we focus on the flower here for a minute, let's go over what hops is good for. So it's a bitter digestive is one way to think of it. Think of a bitter and a digestive. And it has male and female versions, so if you look on Google Images, you can get a view of the male flowers. This is a female plant. They do produce little fruits, apparently. I'm not an expert in hops yet, so I apparently need a male and a female plant to reproduce. It's a perennial, so it's in the cannabis family. That's one of the big takeaways here. Takeaway as simple as that hops and cannabis share the same parent plant species, plant family, so it's quite fascinating. It has a large range of pH, which I found fascinating, 4.5 to 8.2 in the soil, so it's very tolerant of drought and pH changes. It has deep and shallow roots. It was added to bread originally. That's where beer came from. It was added to bread, and they added water and fermented it and got alcohol. And the word B-I-E-R, beer, came out of that. And they discovered that it had some good properties. So that's quite fascinating. They were using hops with bread. You know, old stale bread is a good way to reuse it, to add water and then let it ferment. And you get a nice alcohol yeast out of that. Would be a good thing to do in today's world. But you need to be doing sourdough, really. So it's a nervine. It's a sedative. It's got essential oils in it. It's got flavonols in it. It's got quercetin, one of them. It's bitter and it's cooling. It goes to the heart and the liver. And check this out, it's a hypnotic, a bitter tonic, and an antiseptic. And that's so, it's really, really good for nervous indigestion, folks. Nervous indigestion, ulcers, insomnia, all the whole irritable bowel family, Crohn's. That relaxes the nerves and the smooth muscles. So that's what it works as an antispasmodic. So when you have those crampy spasms due to heat, then you'd want to check out this plant. It takes about 20 to 40 minutes after you ingest it for it to get to work. And I've had good effects from it. They say it has hormonal effects. Back in the olden days when the women picked the flowers, a lot of them would stop bleeding. And so we know that there's some qualities of hormonally with that. When you see someone picking a plant and they can't bleed afterwards, and you know Those antibacterial effects. And the men got a little bit of an aphrodisiac effect is what's interesting, because estrogen and testosterone have a relationship. And then there's gamma-linolenic acid in hops, so that's a GLA. You can find that it's a very anti-inflammatory form of omega-6. And it can help pain overall, especially put on topically. I don't have a lot of experience with the leaves of this plant, but if you look at plant morphology, plant form, it's a 3-tiered leaf. And it is a little bit, see here, the cannabis leaf, and then there's a hops leaf. See, they're like a hand, see? And plants that have a hand of sorts help humanity serve, and they serve us. So see, you have a humanity plant there, and a humanity plant here. There's a bunch in the garden here, but that's it for today. Hops humulus, Latin name, and there's many different variations of it. You'll see beer brewers brewing it, different species for different types of flavors and profiles. But in the end, this is one of those plants you definitely should think about having it around, and I would have it in an extract form, not in a dried form for tea. The flowers just don't last very long, and you can see the breakdown of the flavonols. They get stale and they don't smell good. Thank you so much for watching Health Alchemy YouTube channel and enjoying the medicinal health properties of various easy to grow herbs.